Retrieving the bodies of a woman and her daughter who drowned, after their vehicle slipped off a ferry and plunged into the Indian Ocean on Sunday continue to fade after divers failed to identify the exact location of the vehicle.
All right, now earlier, divers from a multi-agency team had managed to deploy an amphibian robot at least 55 meters deep into the ocean, but the search operation, which has been expanded to 9 locations, were hampered by poor visibility.
The operation resumes this morning, and here is Shukri Wachu with that update.
At exactly 9 a.m. Wednesday, operations at the Likoni ferry crossing were brought to a halt. As for the 4th consecutive day, the busy channel which leads to the Kilindini port was closed to naval traffic for salvage operation. For several hours, divers from a multi-agency team drawn from the Kenya Ferry Service, the Kenya Navy and the Kenya Coast Guard Service, among others, combed the base of the deep ocean waters with hopes of concluding the desperate search for the bodies of 35-year-old Mariam Kihenda and her 4-year-old daughter Amanda Mudheu. Amphibian robots were deployed alongside the divers to aid the operation, which was however hampered by poor visibility in the muddied sea waters.
Robot inasaidia kujua ni sehemu gani pa kwenda. Ila robot haitakueleza ni kitu kipi kiko pale. So ikishatambua basi tunatuma diver pale kwenda kudhibitisha ni kitu kipi. Kwa hivyo itaendelea kwa vituo vile 9 zimesalia. Na tuna matumaini makubwa sana kwamba kati ya hizo 9 moja wao itakuwa ni gari ile.
55 meters deep into the ocean, the divers solely relied on their ability to touch as they combed through the 5 possible locations to no avail.
Wanatumia mikono zao kwa kuweza kutambua ni kitu kipi kiko pale. Hawatatumia macho kwa sababu macho ikiwa pale ndani hawaoni.
The search operation was suspended in the afternoon to allow for the movement of ferries and ships across the channel. Earlier, tension boiled up between the family and the government agencies after private divers hired by the family were stopped from joining in the salvage operation. Despite the dwindling hopes, the family of Mariam Kihenda remains hopeful that her body and that of her daughter will be recovered. Shukri Wachu, K24.
It will be fine.
So the rescue operation, the operation to retrieve the bodies, resumes today. There is every amount of hope on the ground, courtesy of the team that is now led by Principal Secretary Transport, that is Esther Koimet, that something will give. So let's hope that we shall get some, good feedback today.
Right. Of course. And for now, ordinarily, a common stomach ache usually subsides on its own. But in the event the discomfort persists and becomes unbearable, what are you supposed to do in such a scenario?
On this episode of Health Unlimited, Gloria Milimo looks at the bacterial condition commonly known as H-PYLORI that corrodes the stomach lining and which doctors say affects more than half of the world's population.
Take a look.
Ignore common symptoms like a persistent stomach ache, nausea, bloating, among other stomach-related complications. Well, did you know that these symptoms could indicate that you might be suffering from gastritis, a condition doctors characterize by an inflammation on the stomach lining? Well, today on Health Unlimited, we focus on gastritis and we'll tell you how you can keep it at bay.
Doctors refer to gastritis as an inflammation of the stomach lining, which is often caused by a number of factors including the H-PYLORI bacteria found in the mucous lining of the stomach. This can lead to ulcers and in the extreme causes stomach cancer. Bile reflux, which is characterized by a backflow of bile into the stomach, and other infections caused by bacteria and viruses, among others. However, studies conducted locally indicate that H-PYLORI is the main cause of gastritis among most patients seeking specialized treatment for stomach pains. But the challenge for most patients, like Sami Makanda from Juja in Kiambu County, who was diagnosed with the bacteria last year, is knowing when to see a doctor in the case of a stomach ache.
I thought it was food poisoning because that is the commonest cause of a stomach upset right here. It's like someone has punched you.
Sami began experiencing severe stomach aches after indulging with friends at a local food joint before he was hospitalized.
I woke up with an excruciating stomach ache, like someone had punched me or stabbed me. It was so sharp, it was extremely painful. All of a sudden I had a running stomach.
According to Dr. Margarita Mwai, a family physician at the Aga Khan University Hospital, most patients diagnosed with gastritis present various symptoms, including
pain in the upper aspect of the stomach. There's vomiting. Some will tell you they get gas, a lot of gas and bloating. In severe instances, they'd also have a bit of diarrhea. About 80% of our patients will come in with symptoms suggestive of gastritis. So you can get H-pylori from contaminated water, contaminated food, contaminated utensils.
Diagnosis for gastritis involves a procedure called endoscopy, where doctors insert a tube containing a tiny camera through your mouth into the stomach to examine the stomach lining. A doctor may also perform a blood test to screen for H-pylori bacteria and a fecal occult or stool test to check for the presence of blood in one's stool.
People have such a busy lifestyle that you end up having your lunch from, your nearest, maybe kibanda.
And so, apart from ensuring high standards of hygiene, how can one keep gastritis at bay?
Take small, regular meals so that your stomach doesn't remain empty.
For Sami, it is a relief after successfully battling the bacteria. However, doctors say the bacteria can recur, predisposing you to gastritis again. So, be careful. Gloria Milimu, K24 for Health Unlimited.
A report by Gloria Milimo on some of the issues that, emerge courtesy of that. I love the interview that Eric Njoka did.
Right.
It shed a lot of light in terms of how you should deal with this condition and how you should go about seeking even for help and what you shouldn't ignore. Yeah.
What you should eat and not eat, that's very important as well. All right, for now, we're going to be taking you to our reporter Baraka Karama in Kisumu as he gives us the brief on what to expect from his end and, of course, what's going to be making the headlines on the Kisumu News Diary today. Good morning to you, Baraka Karama. What's the latest? And, of course, what should we be expecting from Kisumu?
Shiksha, actually, the story that we are focusing on today is the Kenya National Private Security Association, an affiliate of the CORRODES, is on a tour within this part of the region. Actually, the secretary has been going around the country to sensitize its members on the new regulations that were announced recently by the CS for Interior, Dr. Fred Matiang'i. So it will be proper just to get to hear from the SecGen what the purpose of his visit in this part of the region. Yesterday he was in Gishu County, where he also met members of this particular union to sensitize them on the new regulations that were announced by the CS for Interior, Dr. Fred Matiang'i. Just allow me to engage him, maybe to get his brief on this particular issue. Just welcome, Katibu. You've been going around the country to sensitize your members, the security guards. Maybe the purpose of your visit.
The purpose of my visit.
Your name?
My name is Isaac G.M. Andaba.
Yes.
The National General Secretary, Kenya National Private Security Workers Union, a strong affiliate of CORRODES. But we began the awareness campaign in Mombasa 2 months ago, and we realized the government, through the Ministry of Interior, gazetted the new rules or regulations on 5th July this year. So as a union, we need to partner up with the employers to inform the workers and the employers what it entails. And we were given, both the workers and the employers were given 6 months to style up to the rules of the game. And that is from January 2020. Therefore, I wanted to say, as a person who has been on the forefront in driving the reforms agenda in this sector, it will make no sense if my members are not properly informed what the regulations means to themselves.
What are these regulations? Maybe if you can just bring us up to speed.
Maybe you see there are new conditions which have been set. One of them being that every employer and every card must undergo a vigorous vetting before it's licensed for the purpose of the employer and the worker is satisfied. So it will not be business as usual, because now the new rules have a certain mandate from the regulator that one must meet before he's given mandate to do either provide security or to be an employer in this sector. So this one has not been there for several years, and you see change. Many people don't like change, but what I wanted to tell the workers and the employers, change is there because the regulation is there, the office is there, and they have been given six months. So our role as leaders is to reach the employers and reach the clients and also reach the workers. Tell them the changes are here. You are supposed to sign up. You are supposed to do 1, 2, 3, 4 according to the rules of the game. So for us as a union, we are moving around the country, sensitizing our members about the same changes because they don't know. Yeah.
There's been this issue of arming security guards, the private security guards. Yeah. What is your stand as a union as far as this particular issue is concerned?
Yes, my stand is some fellas or some individuals have blown the issue out of the context. The regulation is clear about the issue of arming. We are not talking about just specifically arming the guns or talking about the guns. Yes. What we are saying under Section 53, it quantifies how somebody is supposed to approach the issue of arming. All the same, you see, due to the current scenario whereby there is terrorism, Al-Shabaab, you see what is happening in Mombasa and all over the country. You cannot actually trust a PR24, Amarungu. Things are changing in the security setup. So also we must prepare our members to change with the scenario in terms of the demands, in terms of actually when we are doing our services or providing our services to our clients. You don't trust that if somebody attacks a card, and you have had a lot of incidents whereby in Kakamega, Vihiga, Huisero, Bitaboni, many of our members have just lost their life during the line of on duty. So what we are saying, we are not going to say we don't want guns. What we are saying, because it is properly captured in the regulations, what we are saying, there is nobody who can become a professional in a particular sector without undergoing a particular training. And I want to thank the office of the president through the CEO, Fazul, because he has come up with a very modern curriculum where we'll use the same to disseminate to the employers to train the current according to the current security situation and demands. Yeah. So what we are saying, we are not saying that we want to arm every card in the Republic of Kenya. We are saying a particular assignment, demand for a particular tools of trade, which includes a gun. Therefore, once a particular assignment has been assessed in terms of riskiness, then the management or the client will say, I want this type of tool in this assignment. There are tools we don't need guns. We just need radio talker, just to communicate to the high authority about an incident. Yes. There are assignments, surely, like where we have heavy traffic, human, like investigate what happened there, you suit, We cannot afford to have a private security officer at Westgate without a gun. That is actually lying ourselves. Yes. Because before you protect life and property of a particular client, you must take care of yourself. Yes. So where we have human traffic heavy, like banks, the issue of the robberies, you have had them. Yes. How do you expect a card to transport cash with the rungu? Obviously, you are not sure certain what will happen on the road. So what we are saying, let's have proper training in terms of the tools of trade, which have a big quite a cover. It's not just about guns. And I want also to challenge Kenyans. This negativity towards cards should not be there. Ugandans, they are having the guns. South Africans, they are doing the same. So if Ugandans have guns, what about Kenya? What we are saying, we don't also say that we are encouraging a lot of guns in the villages or so forth. But I think Fazul's office has worked on a very tangible, structured way of handling those tools of trade. Like just a dog handler. Yes. They have confirmed that most of them, they normally handle dogs. After handling a dog, you don't go with it in Kondele or Kangwar. You take the dog to the where it's supposed to be. So the same applies to a gun. Once you have been assigned a gun, and this assigning of the gun will have a small armory under the authority of the government at the employer's premises. Then you will be assigned a gun for a particular period of time. You must again return the same gun where? At the armory. So things will be structured and in an orderly manner. Let's not instill fear among the guards and even employers in this sector. Then lastly, I want to appeal to the employers, friends, social partners. Let us not spend more time in hotels talking about guns. We have a duty as leaders to move to the ground where the guards are, where the employer are, enlighten them about the change, because it is here we have been given 6 months. And this applies to workers as well as employers, and to some extent to the client, because the client must know there is a change. So we need to actually give awareness campaign, sensitize our members, and we are going to move across the country, sub-county, sub-location, to tell our members change is here and we must style up to the tune of the game.
Thank you. That was the Secretary General for the Kenya Private Security Association, an affiliate of CORRODES. Of course, like he mentioned, is trying to go around the country to sensitize his members about the new regulations that were introduced by the CS for Interior, Dr. Fred Matiang'i. So we'll be getting more details of other stories, like I mentioned yesterday. Remember, the Deputy Governor for Kisumu, Dr. Matthew Owili, is still facing that problem where he was issued with an eviction notice by his landlord. So we'll be making a follow-up to that effect and other stories within this particular region. Back to you, Shiksha.
Thank you very much, Baraka Karama, for that update from Kisumu. Of course, he has been highlighting the plight of security guards and what they say are some of the challenges that they've been facing over the years in line with the new rules and regulations.
That's true. It's been a back and forth over and over again between them as service providers, together with those that have actually employed them, that is the security firms. But we will be seeing how that story pans out in the course of time. Still within our news diary today, we shall be having our eyes on the operation to retrieve the bodies of the two from the Indian Ocean. Yesterday, we got an update from Colonel Cyrus Oguna. We also had an update from Principal Secretary Transport, that is Esther Koimet, who is now leading the team that is mandated by government to retrieve these bodies. There are concerns that have been cited. Mapping has already happened, but it is a case of wait and see. And it's a race against time, because more than 72 hours down the line, still no good news coming forth in terms of the salvage operations. However, there is every shred of optimism coming from government that moving forward, they will be in a position to actually locate the bodies. But you know, time is running out, and we will be seeing how that happens. Remember, it's 65 kilometers deep. And a lot in terms of attention and dedication is needed. So a little later in this show, we shall be bringing in our reporter, that is Fred Kai. 65 meters deep is the issue on the ground, because the divers were saying they cannot be in a position to continue for more than an hour because they don't even have adequate supplies in terms of oxygen, and at times they get fatigued. So it is quite a laborious exercise as per what they say. But again, government paints their positive image that all will be well at the end of the day.
Right, of course, and that particular story is something that we're going to be following up. We've also got our reporter, Fred Kai, who will give us an update later on. But for now, let's take a look at the news diary once again, where the top Cohen murder case returns to the courts this morning. Cohen's widow, Sarah Wairimu, is expected to be officially charged with murder at the Milimani Law Courts. And Justice Stella Mutuku is also expected to rule on whether or not lawyer Philip Murgor can still continue to represent Sarah in the case, given his links to the office of the DPP and elsewhere at the Kiambu Law Courts. A second suspect in the case, Peter Karanja, will be arraigned.
Now, still at the courts, hearing continues today in a case where the Nubian community and rights groups have challenged implementation of the NIMI system. Yesterday, Interior Principal Secretary Karanja Kivisho took the stand where he defended the Huduma number registration process, and today ICT PS Jerome Ochieng will testify on the same at the Milimani Law Courts.
And tea farmers will know the 2019 bonus payments this morning. Kenya Tea Development Agency, that's KTDA, will hold a media briefing on the payments, which might, however, not be good in view of the slump in tea prices to the lowest in the last 5 years. At least 15,000 smallholder farmers served by 69 factories are expecting bonuses for 2018-2019.
Now, British High Commissioner to Kenya, Her Excellency Jane Marriott, has this morning hosted a breakfast event to mark Kenya's first ever certified corporate green bond. The 5 billion shilling bond will fund affordable university housing, and among those who attended the breakfast was Governor of the Central Bank of Kenya, Dr. Patrick Njoroge.
And the 2019 edition of the Nairobi International Trade Fair enters its fourth day today at the Jamhuri Park grounds. The event, which was officially opened by President Uhuru Kenyatta yesterday, brings together both local and international exhibitors. This year's fair, themed Promoting Innovation and Technology in Agriculture and Trade, comes to an end on Sunday.
To take our second break right here on the show, would like to run these images by you that we are getting live from Mombasa. You can see operation to retrieve the bodies has resumed this morning. We remain with the Likoni story, Mombasa County. We have our reporter Fred Kai. In the course of the second hour of the show, he will be joining us for an update in as far as what we can expect from Mombasa today, what will be the priority angles as we cover this story. And it takes us to a break,
right,
and we shall be back in just a moment.